question parents may ask themselves: if they have a suspicion that their child has a concentration problem, focus problem, or a behavior problem, and then of course leading to a learning problem, where do you start? Where should parents start with an ADHD journey? First of all, it starts with awareness, becoming aware and receptive to potential problems. And honestly, you should start with yourself. Are you ignoring those warning signs? The teacher's comments? Are you seeing those little subtle behavior problems, difficulty? You have a gut feel that there's a problem. Especially during the lockdown last year, a lot of parents saw their children at home for the first time trying to learn. And almost the penny dropped. There really are problems. The teacher has been talking about these problems, and maybe I shouldn't ignore them. So it starts with an awareness. And it's important to find somebody who's an expert in this area, somebody who spends a lot of time dealing with these problems. Not all doctors are experienced and deal with these problems. The assessment is only as good as the person who does the assessing. It's the experience. And only too often I find parents that have gone on a detour journey. They've started off with years of therapy from therapists dealing with problems that are not at the core, addressing the core essential problems. Only today I saw a child who has for 2 years been actually receiving therapy by doctors and has seen therapists, play therapists, psychologists. And when I ask parents, what do you think the problem is with your child? They don't really know. And those therapists and doctors haven't taken the time to help them understand what the problem is. Understanding and knowing helps you plan and implement the right strategy and journey. And that is why a lot of parents become confused and frustrated. And this child in particular had been on medication, had been on Ritalin, and unfortunately it had lots of side effects. And when we delved deeper, we understood, we teased things apart, we kind of broke things down. We got to the essence of the problems. This child has a lot of anxiety, actually has a learning problem that hasn't been recognized. And it starts off really asking parents to be honest with themselves and think about their own schooling journey. Did they have problems at school? A lot of these problems are genetic. So the start of the journey starts with yourself, being honest, being aware. Don't ignore those problems. Ask the right questions. Don't be afraid to ask the teacher if there's a problem. Ask family, friends to give you some objective feedback. They're going to give you some of the answers that you're looking for. And then find somebody who understands the whole journey. Pediatricians who spend a lot of time with ADHD, they see children right from the beginning of life. They see them right through to university. They see the whole picture. Often parents who've had assessments and also schooling assessments by psychologists initially, when sometimes it's not even necessary. To start off there, it costs thousands of rand when it might not necessarily be indicated. There are children that definitely do need assessments and concerns. If there's a concern about a learning problem, often a pediatrician can see the holistic picture. They see the health issues. They see the psychological issues. They see the family context. They see how parents are functioning and dealing with their own stresses. And we are able to look at those things and point you in the right direction. And it might not necessarily mean that you've got to go and have lots of assessments by psychologists occupational or speech therapists. Often the teachers can see those things. Sometimes, unfortunately, teachers steer parents in the wrong direction. You know, go and get vitamins, natural products. You know, those things don't necessarily address the core essence of what the problem is. And a pediatrician is the person who can, and who has a lot of interest in it, as a developmental pediatrician, can understand and actually provide the therapy at the same time. And I think it's important to choose the right person in the beginning and the person with the right experience. Just think of your own career. You know, somebody who is for example, a person who is a lawyer. You want to go to somebody who's very experienced, who's seen it and done it. You don't want to go to somebody who only deals with a specific part of law, or somebody who deals with property, who deals with commercial property maybe, or residential property. Go to somebody who's a specialist in that area, who understands and who's had years of experience. Doing an assessment is like doing a puzzle. You've got to have detective skills. Somebody who is able to be detective, who's had experience, who can look at the whole picture.